We call this land the United States of America. But long before it had borders, it had people. People who lived in balance with the land. People who sang in languages older than English. People who called this land home, not for decades, but for thousands of years. Native Americans. The first Americans. The real Americans. And today, they make up less than 3% of the population. Let that sink in. Less than 3% in their own homeland? Before 1492, it's estimated that up to 10 million Native Americans lived across North America, from the Navajo in the southwest, to the Iroquois in the northeast, to the Chinook on the Pacific coast. Then came invasion. In 1492, Columbus landed in the Caribbean. In 1607, Jamestown was established in Virginia, the first permanent English settlement. And in 1620, the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth. What followed wasn't exploration, it was colonization. And with it came smallpox, slavery, warfare, and the slow, brutal machinery of genocide. By the late 1800s, after centuries of bloodshed, the Native American population had fallen to around 237,000, a 96% loss. They didn't just lose lives, they were erased. Entire tribes vanished, their names lost, their stories buried under myth. The Pequot Massacre, 1637. Hundreds of Pequot people, men, women, and children, were burned alive in their village while colonists celebrated. The governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving afterwards. Wounded Knee Massacre, 1890. In South Dakota, U.S. soldiers gunned down over 250 unarmed Lakota people, many of them women and children, during a spiritual ceremony called the Ghost Dance. Bodies were left to freeze in the snow. The Trail of Tears, 1830s. Under President Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act, entire tribes were forcibly uprooted and marched westward. Over 60,000 Native Americans, Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw were expelled. More than 15,000 died on the journey from disease, starvation, and exhaustion. This was not relocation. It was ethnic cleansing. Even Native children weren't spared. From the 1800s through the 1900s, they were taken from their families and forced into boarding schools. There, they were beaten for speaking their language, had their hair cut, names changed, and were taught to be ashamed of their identity. Kill the Indian, save the man. That was the official motto. Thousands died in these schools. Many were buried in unmarked graves, only recently discovered, like the 215 bodies of children found in Canada's Kamloops Residential School in 2021. Similar atrocities occurred in the U.S. The U.S. signed more than 500 treaties with Native tribes, and every single one was broken. Land that was promised forever was seized again and again whenever settlers or the government wanted more. Today, Native Americans are restricted to reservations, land often infertile, remote, and lacking in basic services. Many lack access to clean water, proper health care, and economic opportunity. And yet, they are still here. They are more than statistics. They are artists, educators, scientists, spiritual leaders, veterans, and lawmakers. People like Deb Haaland, the first Native American to serve as a U.S. Cabinet Secretary. Their languages are being revived. Their stories are being retold. Their voices are rising again. But still, the scars remain. Native communities have the highest suicide rates in the U.S. 1 in 3 Native women will be raped in their lifetime, many by non-natives with little justice. Indigenous people are still fighting to protect their sacred sites from pipelines and mining. We celebrate Thanksgiving, but how many learn about the genocide that followed? We name our sports teams with racial slurs, but ignore the voices that ask us to stop. We pledge allegiance to a flag on land that was taken by force. Real Americans? They're not extinct. They're not costumes. They're not mascots. They're your neighbors. They're on reservations and in cities. They're fighting for recognition, justice, and survival every single day. They were here first, and they are still here. Let's say their names. Let's learn their history. Let's honor their survival. Because even if only 3% remain, this is and always will be Native land.